Tuesday, August 13th, 15 games on the MLB card, and this will be a safe space for any of you Yankees backers yesterday. We'll talk that game for sure coming up here, Yankees and the Chicago White Sox, but we're also talking Pittsburgh, San Diego Giants versus the Bravos, and we got two best bets for you. That's right, in Boston versus Texas, and the Twins taking on the Royals. How do we bet these games and more? That's what you're here to find out on WagerTalk TV's First Pitch. Dan Alexander here in the driver's seat, and I don't know how I got so lucky that on a Tuesday, I got the morning wager duo. Joining me here today, Mark Zinno, Bryan Power, fresh off another new recording, ready to rock and talk some baseball here, boys. So let's get right into it, Zinno. I'm going to start with you as we had an easy under in the Pittsburgh and San Diego Padres game last night. 2-1 was the final. Also a easy cash if you took the 1.5 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Any thoughts on how we bet this one? You think another low-scoring affair is in order? If not, you think it could be another tight one? How are you going to bet it, Zinno?
Well, look, the Pittsburgh Pirates have now lost 8 in a row. Some of those were to the aforementioned San Diego Padres. And the Padres have now won 6 consecutive games by 1 run or extra innings. You got to go back to the series against the Pirates. It was 9-8, 7-6 in extra innings, 6-2 in extra innings, 9-8. They lost 7-6 and they won 2-1. At some point in time, Pittsburgh is going to snap this winning streak here. And given how close they played this team last time in their series, it feels like an opportune time here to jump in and get Pittsburgh. In fact, I kind of actually think they have a good shot to win the game. I wouldn't mind a sprinkle on the money line here while taking the plus 1.5. But Luis Ortiz has been pretty good, all things considered, as a starter this year. And with a 3.4 ERA and a 1.1 whip, he should be able to match Michael King pretty good. San Diego scores less at home than they do on the road. And just at some point in time, baseball tells you that the good fortune for the Padres as they keep sneaking out these 1-run wins here in games they probably should lose, it's going to come back to bite them eventually. And it feels like tonight is a spot where it'll happen. Don't really have that dominant starter in the mound on Michael King, who was a reliever and has now pitched the most innings of his career at this point in time. So all this kind of adds up to maybe King not having a great start, but I like the Pirates plus the 1.5 here at a good number.
This is how I know the morning wager guys are on, that we call for a money line sprinkle on the team that has lost 8 straight games. Now, Zinno, I agree with you, but that's how I know we got a Tuesday edition of the boys in the house when we're like, 0-8.
Bryan
money
Power
line.
has been rubbing off on me after all these episodes of the morning wager. He's finally rubbing off.
My God, I didn't know we were going to say that on the YouTube channel. That's wow. Okay, there we go.
That's very nice. It's very nice. But what you guys do in your free time?
You said you're rubbing off on me.
Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Hey, whatever you guys do, just wash your hands. I don't care what you do. Outside of these programs, just make sure you wash your hands, Bri. Are you washing your hands of trying to back the Bravos? I mean, I'm checking out how they did yesterday. It was another absolute peach tossed by Chris Sale. 1-0 was the final. I think he goes 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. We talked about how much we liked him on the bump yesterday. That was a play from Drew Martin. I said maybe look at some pitcher props for him. He didn't make us into a liar, but now it's Charlie Morton who they're going to have on the bump. He's opposing Kyle Harrison, so it's not like a who's who of starting pitchers here, but how do you see game 2 here shaking out? Braves and Giants, this one going 9:45 tonight.
Yes, Sale able to outduel Snell, although it went 10 innings. It was a playoff-like atmosphere last night with 2 of the best pitchers in all of baseball that you mentioned. Atlanta wins 1-0. And look, if it's not for that incredible meltdown they had Sunday, I know the Braves would be on a 3-game win streak coming into this game. But you got to remember, prior to that, they've been struggling. They've lost 7 of 9 overall. And, Dan, I do still have concerns about this lineup. Granted, Blake Snell's going to make any lineup look bad. But you look at tonight, Braves are going against Kyle Harrison. I don't think they're going to do much. Last week on the show with you, I talked about Harrison and how he's a lot better at home than on the road. Well, guess where this game's being played? At home. Look at his ERA split. 3.23 at home versus 4.94 on the road. Look at any metric. It's going to tell you the same story. And the real key, if you break it down with Harrison, as to why he's been better at home than on the road, he's a fly ball pitcher, and Oracle Park just doesn't see a lot of home runs. So I don't think Atlanta's going to score a lot tonight. As for the Giants, Well, they're facing Zinno's buddy Chaz Morton, who's been really inconsistent. Last time out, he was just crushed. 8 runs in 2 2/3, gave up 4 homers again. Homers typically not an issue at Oracle, but Morton's declining fastball velocity is something to make note of. You look at Atlanta, they're a 500 team on the road. Giants, 35-25 at home. So Harrison-Morton matchup, I would back the Giants first 5 on the money line here. I prefer Harrison at home to what the Braves are throwing out there with Chaz Morton.
You just have to worry whether you're getting good Morton or bad Morton, because there is no in between. Charlie Morton is not the quality start pitcher, 6 innings, 3 runs. It's either a blow-up start or a 6 innings, 1 run kind of start. So whichever one you're going to get, and just go look at his last 4. 2 innings, 8 runs, 6 innings, no runs, 2 innings, 7 runs, 6 innings, no runs. Like, back and forth. That's what he's been for the last 3 years of his career. If you get good Morton, the Braves are in great position. If you get bad Morton, guess what? Braves are in bad position.
Yeah, it does feel like one of those. It does feel like one of those spots where you're like, man, if I could just know this one intangible about the game, I could cap the entire game. But nevertheless, Brian Power doesn't have his crystal ball. But we do have Tyler in the chat smelling a sloppy parlay on today's episode.
Why don't you just tell me how you're going to pitch Charlie Morton?
What, you smell that? Yeah, it stinks. Sloppy up in here. But I can never. Oh, that little outro gets me every single time. But I can never hear sloppy parlay without thinking of Billy Madison when the lunch lady's like, "I know you boys like them extra sloppy." We need to get that drop.
Sloppy Joe.
We need stop, lady, you're scaring us. We need to grab that drop. That'll be what that'll be my homework for the next time you guys are on. But shout out, we saw that comment there. Shout out to the comments. We already have some rolling in here as far as questions go. Nick, Titan CT, Air Duck. Let's get that money indeed. Air Duck 23. Robert S. Marks review. Thomas Brown, appreciate all of you tuning in. Of course, David Talk as well. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hop below in the comments. Let us know what games you want to hear. And while you're hanging out with us, whether it's on social or here, hit us with the follow on social. Hit us with the subscribe here. It's a great way to say thanks. Tyler also says Morning Wager is hilarious. He loves you guys. So awesome. A little shout out and another plug there. But yeah, make sure you follow us. You'll get this kind of stuff right into your timeline when we go live. And of course, the single game videos as well, clips from shows, thoughts on line moves. Great account to follow right here at WagerTalk. Robert S. says, and it ties into something we were talking about right before we went on. Hate to do this, Dan, but Marlins team total over 3.5. We have the projected starter as Belazo for the Marlins, but that's not confirmed yet. Still showing undecided on the WagerTalk.com live odds screen, but he's taken that side of the equation out of it. He says Walker returns tonight. He stinks and will be limited. This Phil's pen sucks. I mean, if you look at what they did, what was it, the last game they played, which was against the D-backs, let 12 come across. Hard to argue with our man here. So, Zinno, you were talking about potentially just blindly backing the Phillies team total over. The game total is sitting painted at that key number of 9. So any thoughts on Robert isolating the Marlins team total? You had some thoughts on blindly backing the Phillies team total. So why don't we just go over 9? If we like both of these team totals, what do you think, Zinno?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the way to go, is take the over. Like, if you look at the games in this series, 5 of the 7 of them have gone over the total. They've gotten to double digits. So that may just be the easiest way to go. The Phillies won a 2-0 game. Marlins won a 3-2 game. That was back at the end of June. But, the other thing, too, is that the Phillies have been scuffling, offensively as of late. They just, they haven't looked like themselves, but they've also been out on the road for 10 games. They come back home. This is a team that's 3rd in runs scored at home this year. They're top 10 in batting average, OPS, and WRC plus at home this year. It feels like a great breakout spot for the Phillies for me. I don't hate the over. I think he gets there regardless. Taijuan Walker has been, what's the word we're looking for here? SHI crap is the word we're looking for.
Kaka, I think, is the technical term. Yeah.
Yes, there is that. So, you could consider him a little bit more hard luck at home. His numbers on the road, he's giving up a 326 batting average. It's 100 points lower at home. So there is that silver lining if you wanted to back him in that sense. The problem is he's given up 8 home runs at home. So that's what's made him unlucky. He hasn't been able to keep the ball inside Citizens Bank Park. So if he can keep the Marlins in the ballpark, which, again, the Marlins on the road are a team that doesn't score all that much. They're the lowest scoring team on the road this year, and they have hit the second fewest home runs on the road this year. So you may be asking the Phillies to do a little bit more heavy lifting than normal. And in the one start that Taijuan Walker had against Miami this year, guys, 6 innings, 1 run. So there's that.
Fair. No, definitely fair. Hop below in the comments. Let us know. We know that the pitching isn't decided there, so we won't belabor the point too much on that game, but you can isolate in on team totals that you got to lay 2 Bills to back the Phils with Taj Walker. The big price on me going to keep me away from that game regardless who the starter is, but I don't hate looking at that total. I mean, it's not like the bullpen, a couple days off, it's just going to be magically fixed here. So if you think you can get some cure in a hitter's ballpark, weather's going to be fine. I know it's sitting at 9, but yeah, the over probably makes a little bit more sense to me in that one. BP, talk about prices that keep you off. Obviously, you can add a little bit if you want to on that Phils and Miami game, but like I said, we only know half of the equation there. I said it was going to be a safe space, but there are some questions rolling in. Yankees, Chicago, White Sox. We got Ricardo asking White Sox today. Thomas Brown before saying Yanks going to drop 2 in a row to the Chicago White Sox. Yesterday, I looked at that price and I said that ain't a parlay piece. I was like, what are we doing? Laying over 3 Bills here with the Yankees who are struggling. It's not like it's just been, they're playing the White Sox. It's a big price or whatever. I think they've lost 4 of their last 6 games. None so more headlining than losing 12-2. To the White Sox. They've lost 91 games, guys. What are we doing? And then it's the bounce back spot, right, guys? So we got to back another 3 Bill. I am worried that people are going to be chasing this plus money on the Chicago White Sox because it cashed in yesterday. But it was Zinno. You obviously want to talk, so BP, you can go on the back burner. You sit there and wait.
Why don't I just clean up on all the games?
Raising his hand. Yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk to you on the next show.
There you go.
There we go. We have some.
Okay, that's what we need right there. First of all, objectively, there isn't a baseball field on this planet where Fat Nestor Cortez should be a 3-1 favorite to win. That's just the reality of the situation. The idea that he is priced as a 3-1 favorite is complete lunacy, absolute craziness. So that's number one to stay away from this thing. Now, BP and I tried yesterday as our best bet on the morning wager to take the Yankees team total against a bad White Sox team and a really bad bullpen. That didn't go well for us. It's probably the only way you can play this is that the Yankees bullpen, or the Yankees rather, would get to the White Sox bullpen enough to be able to do this because Jonathan Cannon has actually been pretty good. However, I could endorse, if you wanted to take White Sox plus 1.5, I'm less inclined for that because of the White Sox bullpen and more inclined to take the White Sox plus 0.5, or even if they're offering the plus 1.5 in the first 5 there, Dan, would be the way to go because, again, Nestor Cortez stinks. You think Taijuan Walker's bad? Pfft, look at the roly-poly the Yankees are trotting out there tonight. So I would go that way, stay first 5, because Cannon is the best shot for the White Sox to be able to stay in this game. When you look at it again, it's the Yankees don't hit lefties. So there was an advantage for the White Sox there last night. Maybe they get to Cannon, but this is probably the best shot is to take first 5.
BP, yesterday we had Trigger on, who is our, honorary plus 1.5 with the Chicago White Sox. You were getting insane plus money if you took the 1.5. We actually made the case of taking 3 runs because it was only like minus 120, something like that. You took 2.5 runs. It was like minus 108. So any thoughts here? Like, the worry for me is that we already got the big plus money ticket yesterday. Sure, could it happen again? But you could lose all that money if you're looking to double down. I mean, maybe you take 1 unit, sprinkle a little bit. You're getting plus 240. You shop around. You can find a little bit higher. And also, you have any thoughts of quote, Fat Nestor Cortez being this big of a favorite, end quote?
I'm not going to insult people personally. Now, I will say, Zinno, I don't know if you did it intentionally, but cannon is your best shot. That was well done. If that was a nice
that was well
you
done.
had there. I just want to mention this with Taijuan Walker. Dan, I know you love going back to Philly and seeing all the old sites. You don't like seeing Walker back in the rotation. As bad as he was before the injury, though, they lost his last 5 starts with an ERA over 6. He faced a lot of good lineups during that time. Zinno mentioned how he was good against the Marlins the one time he faced him. So people should know that. His last 5 starts, it was against Arizona, Baltimore, the Mets, St. Louis, and San Francisco. All those teams can hit. Now, going to the Yankees and White Sox, look, Zinno is right. Cannon has been better than Cortez over the last 5 starts. Cortez, last 5 starts, 9.26 ERA. The Yankees are 1-4 in his last 5 starts. The White Sox, who obviously stink, they're 1-4 in Cannon's last 5 starts, but he's got a 2.61 ERA during that stretch. He's allowed 2 runs or less in 4 of those last 5 starts. So look, we all know the situation with the White Sox. Their bullpen is where +1.5 goes to die. They had a big enough lead where it didn't matter. I had texted in. I was like, maybe the Yankees can still get over that team total with this bullpen. They did not last night. I think if you want to try again with the White Sox to run it back, you look first 5 because Cannon, he has been a better pitcher over the last 5 starts than Cortez. Interestingly enough, you talked about what you could have done. The Yankees scored first last night. You could have grabbed a +5.5 runs live in the top of the first with the White Sox at one point last night.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good look there. The thing that Tyler pointed out, he goes, I wish I had the gonads yesterday. Getting that +2.5 at near plus money was crazy. He goes, I want to find out who has the ticket of laying it with the White Sox -4.5 at like +700 or something like that. If somebody has that ticket, that's the one that we want to see below. That is for darn sure. Shout out over on TikTok, Taylor Cash. Appreciate you tuning in. They were asking about any thoughts on the total there in the Pittsburgh game, and we talked about that game at the top. The official play in the big game breakdown was the Pittsburgh getting the +1.5 -125. Zinno also said, even though they lost 8 straight, maybe a little sprinkle on the money line there for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We also had Water Bear hopping in saying, Brewers winning the World Series. Also, I didn't want to completely scream, but he believes in the Brewers winning the World Series. We also had Titan CT saying, Brewers, nice dog here today. Well, Zinno, as long as they can get away from the top of the order, from the Dodgers, they might be a good dog. It's Stone, it's Rhea. You look at the pitching and the fact that they're at home, getting plus money on the Brewers. Does that dog interest you, the team who apparently, according to Water Bear, is going to be winning the World Series? Any thoughts, Brewers, Dodgers for you, Zinno?
Well, Brian Power knows what I always say when Colin Rhea is on the mound. You can't spell diarrhea without Ray, so there is that. But Gavin Stone, who starts for the Los Angeles Dodgers, get this, guys, 10 road starts, 10 decisions. He's 6-4. So that you don't often see that a guy has absolutely no decisions in a given scenario. So maybe Gavin Stone to get a win or Gavin Stone to take a loss. One or the other. Those two probably is worth a bet at this point in time. But I kind of like Milwaukee in a spot. I'm willing to fade Gavin Stone. He has not been great on the road this year. He hasn't been terrible either. But this is just I'm willing to fade any Dodgers starter in a certain spot. I genuinely am. I don't think they're that good. This is a situation here for the Brewers after losing the first one where I feel like they'll come back. They're a higher scoring team at home. So only after scoring 2 last night. But again, I would argue I'd cut the game in half, given both of these bullpens would probably negate each other out. If the Brewers ain't leading early, they probably ain't leading late. And if they can't get to Stone, guess what? They're probably dead in the water. So I might be more inclined to take a first half money line with the Brewers at a little bit of plus money, keep the tie in my back pocket if needed, and not really worry about the rest of the game. But I think they can get out early on Stone.
Best bets are coming up. We're going to talk Twins and Royals. I know we've had some questions about that one. Brian Power going to have a best bet in that game. And then we're also going to talk Rangers and the Boston Red Sox. How do you bet that game? Mark Zinno has a free best bet coming up for you. Best bet right now, though, folks, get 4 days free. If you've never partnered with us before, it's a great way to try us out because you can get 7 days of all access. That's right, a week of plays for the price of 3. You can get it at any Capper's page. You can stack these. You can get multiple of them. So if you've never bought before, it's a great time to do it, especially if you like betting NFLX. These guys are dropping plays in that. Baseball, we had Trigger on yesterday. He's doing Asian baseball still. So you can get whatever sports that you're eyeing, 7 days of all access, the price of 3, WT.buzz/deals, or go to your favorite Capper's page. Zinno, for you, any thoughts in that Brewers game? If not, we'll talk the A's and Mets coming up here, because Oakland at the plus money price, Eric D is saying that's going to be the look for him. So BP, any thoughts here? You want to wrap up anything that Zinno mentioned, or you want to talk Mets and A's? What are you looking at?
I actually like the Dodgers in that game against the Brewers. Ray is he's one of a handful of pitchers left that, the regression monster hasn't come yet, but it's coming. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. I realize his last 5 starts, he's been pretty good. The team, I think, is 4-1. Yeah, 4-1 with a 2.76 ERA. He had one bad blow up though against the Pirates, and that was here at home. You talk about the Brewers winning the World Series. You better hope they don't run into the Dodgers in the playoffs, because they've lost 8 of the last 9 head-to-head going back to last year against Dodgers. I actually prefer the Dodgers in this one. Not a client play, though. In terms of the Mets and the A's, interesting matchup because it's Blackburn facing his former team. I guess I have a little bit of a lean towards the Mets in that game. But again, we've got some uncertainty here with who's going to be on the mound for Oakland. So I really am not interested in getting involved yet until I know for certain who goes for Oakland in this game, because, obviously it's a big deal, but, the market certainly seems to like the Mets, and, Blackburn, you should know his former team. So I think Zinno likes the Mets a little bit, but I'm staying away on that game.
And it looks like it might be Stripling, but again, not confirmed yet. So Zinno, you're looking the other way. And would you suggest before the pitching is decided to get this bet in, or you can wait on it? Mets A's, how are you betting it?
I mean, my look here with this is that the Mets scored 1 run in 27 innings in Seattle. 1. They got shut out twice and scored 1 run on Sunday Night Baseball, losing 12 to run. They were outscored 22-1 over the course of 3 games. So last time I checked, that's not good.
Not good.
That said, the Mets are not a bad team. And Blackburn going against his forward team kind of interests me a little bit. But theoretically, I just have to believe the Mets will snap out of it. I mean, it was a bad road trip. They got swept in Seattle. It was, they had the day off, so it's not like they're coming off travel or anything like that. They're in the thick of things. The A's clearly are not. This is a better lineup. I think everything here screams Mets to me. So I think it's an ideal spot to play on the Mets after, again, being outscored 22-1 in Seattle.
Metropolitans, hop below in the comments and let us know how you're looking to bet that one. Sorry to tell you, tight, but a case to be made there for the Mets from our man Mark Zinno. But hey, best of luck on any of your wagers here. So guys, let's get into some best bets here. We can circle back, hit any of these questions before we shut things down here for the day. But Zinno, I'm going to throw it back your way. I mentioned that 4-day free that folks can get over at your page. What do you got locked and loaded? And how are we betting this Boston and Texas Rangers game? Because G Hurt was saying, I talked myself out of hammering the over in the Rangers and Red Sox game. Your thought is on the side, though. How are you betting it?
Yeah, already have a 4% play up on the site today here, Dan. I'm trying to get a menage a trois of NL East action involved tonight. So that's for you, Dan Alexander.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
there we go.
Exactly
I'll wash my hands.
She's looking to get in. Sloppy parlay.
Little menage. So I'm still working on getting there on a couple of things. Obviously, some of these games are still waiting for starters to pop up, so we'll see how we'll play them. But there is a 4% play up on the page already today. Guys, 14-2 MLB run, 15-3 run overall, including 13-0 last week for 7 straight days. You know what that got me, Dan Alexander? Not to the top of the leaderboard. That is a different conversation for a different day. But you can go to WT.buzz/MZ, and we will continue to do our best to not be on the top of the jacked up leaderboard. So there is that. Now let's get to the Boston Red Sox and the Texas Rangers. Part of that 13-game winning streak was this game a week ago when Cutter Crawford faced Jose Urena, or Urethra, whichever one he is, and we took the Red Sox, and they won 11-7 in a very high-scoring game. Cutter Crawford was not good in that game, but the Red Sox offense was really good. I like the Red Sox here again. This number is moving in favor of the Red Sox, and the juice is starting to get a little bit at a tolerance here. There are still some 137s out there. We're sitting in the 140, 150 range, so move fast if you really want to get on it, or just lower your unit size, as Brian Power often does, lowers his unit size to minimize the risk here with the juice.
For yourself, pal.
Bottom line here is this, okay? Jose Urena is not a starter in Major League Baseball anymore, and as a starter this year, he's been bad. He's been really bad when you look at his splits. And he's been getting rocked in the last couple of games that he has had to go out there and start. Not only that, this is a Texas bullpen last night that used 6 different relievers, including their highest leverage reliever in Kirby Yates, who threw 25 pitches to get out of a bases loaded jam as the Red Sox continue to leave runners all over the place on base while going 0 for 10 through the first 8 innings with runners in scoring position. But they've also used a total of 14 relievers over the last 2 days, including 3 guys who have pitched in back-to-back days. The Rangers' already bad bullpen is going to be short here. The Red Sox have a decided advantage. They only used 4 relievers last night. None of their relievers have pitched 2 consecutive days. They'll have their full complement of guys if they need him in a spot here. I know the Red Sox bats aren't as great at home as they've been on the road, but Texas is just not a team that you want to trust offensively, particularly on the road. And this Jose Urena thing is more of the leverage for me. He's got an ERA of 5 on the road. He's 1-5. Opposing hitters are batting .304 against him. Red Sox all the way for me tonight, guys.
Going with the Boston Red Sox money line. Best bet there for you from Mark Zinno. Hop below in the comments. Let us know if you're tailing that one while you're hanging out. Hit that like button and subscribe over on YouTube. That follow button on social goes a long way. BP, how about for you? What do you got locked and loaded that people can grab over at your page, wt.buzz/BP? And Twins and Royals. How are you looking to bet this one? What's leg 2 of our little sloppy parlay today?
Yeah, I know this is first pitch, but allow me to talk about some things that are not baseball. I'm going to have a 5% college football win total released here later today. I've been giving out free win totals in both NFL and college last couple weeks on the various shows. This is my favorite one, so check that out at wt.buzz/BP. Also, you mentioned that 7-day deal, Dan. For me, that includes soccer. Ended last soccer season, 33-14-2 run. That was through the end of the Euro Cup and Copa America. 8-0 to end the Premier League season last year. I finished number 1 in the EPL, number 1 in La Liga, number 1 in Serie A last season at WagerTalk. So it was a great soccer season. I am looking forward to getting going this weekend. Now, if you caught me yesterday, they're throwing at me again. Now, if you caught me on the show yesterday when they were also throwing baseballs at me, I was pretty adamant that the Twins were the right side against the Royals. I talked about it on the Power 5, Morning Wager, WagerTalk today. It wound up being a 4% winner for yours truly with the Twins over their team total. I bet cashed in the second inning. Wish they could all be that easy. Now, a lot of what I said about Monday's starter for KC, Brady Singer, also applies to tonight's starter, Seth Lugo. Lugo's expected ERA, just like Singer, more than a full run higher than his actual ERA. So the regression monster's coming, Danny Alexander. I am a bit concerned about the potential absence of Buxton from the Twins lineup. He had to leave yesterday's game with a hip injury. He's listed as day-to-day. But, as I mentioned on the shows yesterday, Twins are 4th, right behind your Phillies in runs scored at home. So with or without Buxton, I'm pretty confident they could put a crooked number on the board. The real X factor in this game, guys, is the starter for the Twins, Zebby Matthews. Let me get through this, Zinno, before you rip on the guy's name. Zebby Matthews started this season all the way down in single A. So he's definitely worked his way up to the big leagues. But check this out. A 114-7 strikeout to walk ratio in the minors. Hello. That's pretty good. And I think this is a pretty good first big league matchup for Matthews. Why? Because as we all know, the Royals don't hit as well on the road as they do at home. And in particular, they strike out a lot more on the road. So I think Matthews, if what we saw in the minors is any indication, I think he can rack up the strikeouts. The Twins have the bullpen edge here as well. Royals relievers You go back to May 1st, bottom 6 ERA. I think the Royals are a bit of a paper tiger. Minnesota Twins, money line. Your show, best bet for today.
Twins, money line. Yeah,
Zebby Matthews. Zebby.
I mean, what are we doing?
I can't even blame Zebby. I just hit both of his parents in the head with a bat for being morons. Okay.
Zebby.
I mean,
hey,
kids are mean. You don't think Zebby got made fun of his entire adolescence, like through elementary school?
Well, or everyone thought it was really cool. Maybe they thought it was really cool. I mean, it's kind of badass.
I mean,
yes. I come from a long line of Zebbies. I take umbrage to that.
A long line. Some sort of pharmaceutical drug. Don't take Zebby if you experience high fevers, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Like, what are you doing here, Zebby?
Hey, well, maybe we'll get a win if you're experiencing wins. You back Zebby. The thoughts
Zebby.
There. Twins, Royals from the long line of Zebbies, the Twins money line for BP. All right, gentlemen, before we shut things down here, a couple of housekeeping notes, some questions for the folks. We talked about the Rangers and the Sox there with the best bet for you, Zinno. Taylor Cash over on TikTok is asking any thoughts about the total for either of you guys. It's sitting at 10. We've seen some money actually come in while we're hanging out here, pushing it up at some of the sharper spots to 10 over minus 120. So the market definitely not thinking there's any under potential there. Brian, any thoughts on that, BP? You?
I do.
You
I do kind of like the under, even though both starters have horrific resumes. But here's the thing. These teams only combined for, 6 runs in 9 innings yesterday? I know Mark is going to talk about how the Red Sox did not have timely hitting. They were, 2 for 10, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position last night. But the Red Sox have not scored. I will say this, although I do think they're the right side tonight. I would concur with my good friend over there. The Red Sox have not gone over 4 runs in 9 innings in any of their last 5 games. And the Rangers lineup has all sorts of issues. So this, to me, has all the makings of a contrarian under. 10 is a very, very high total for a baseball game outside of Coors Field.
Here's how this thing gets under, is that Cutter Crawford actually has a decent start, because you're not going to get one from Urena, right? Like, Cutter Crawford's been bad as of late, and you're just kind of hoping. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to be good. If he goes 6 innings, gives up 3 runs or less, that should be enough to keep this thing under, because the Red Sox don't have to do much more than that to be able to win this game. Some people would say, Brian Power, that if you're allergic to winning and allergic to cashing tickets, you should probably bet the under. That's what they would say.
I thought you were about to say you should probably take Zebby was where I thought you were going with that. But it does make sense too. Zebby unders. Tyler points out that Zebby does get the last laugh because the kids that made fun of his name are the ones who now serve hot dogs at the stadium while Zebby is out there on the diamond.
What do you got to say about
Zebby?
So I mean, hey, I'm just saying Tyler's
like, hey, Zeb, what's up? Good job tonight.
I bet they call him Zeb. I bet you they call him Zeb.
There comes a point where it transitions into being cool. And I think it's the latter part of life where people are like, oh, the Zebster. You know what I mean? Like the Zebster sounds cool.
Zebster!
Zebster's a dog out at the bars. Yeah. He's you got some competition against Patty Johnson, Mark Zinno, when Zebby is in the bar. I can tell you that much.
There we go.
Right, gentlemen. Last game we'll hit on here. Tyler was asking about the Angels potentially being a barking dog. It's Gossman. It's Fulmer. I don't see it. But this it's not like this game screamed I wanted to bet it. So Zinno, any thoughts on this one? We'll shut it down. We'll get both your guys' thoughts. Blue Jays, Angels.
I mean, I'd rather eat a bowl of eggshells than bet on the Toronto Blue Jays at any given point in time.
That's fair.
That said,
Kevin Gausman, your child Zeb.
Kevin Gausman has been much better on the road this year. 2.7 ERA. Opposing hitters are batting .220 against him. He's given up fewer home runs, less hits, everything else. Like, he's just been a much better pitcher away from the Rogers Center this year. And Toronto, I think, is now 7-3 with him on the mound on the road. So it feels like a spot to go Toronto, but I have officially sworn off Toronto. Like, I have not felt like ever betting them since about like mid-July. I've lost enough money on that team. I hope they all go back to Canada and never return to the United States.
Wow, putting an embargo on the Toronto Blue Jays. BP, as you looked like you had some nods, a little bit of light consternation over there in your box. Any thoughts going on over here? That looks a lot better. Just keep that over him the entire time.
There we go.
That works for us. So, damn it, he's back. BP, any thoughts, closing thoughts here on this A's game?
It's juiced, but before we came on and started recording, the Angels team total was 3.5 still. I kind of like the over on that. You look at Gausman, the results are there. They're 5-0 his last 5 starts, but he's got a lot of run support. I mean, there have been some starts where he's given up 5 runs. He gave up 4 runs in another. So, as a matter of fact, all 5 of those games have gone over the total. I think if you think the Angels are a barking dog tonight, I mean, yes, the price is better if you take them on the money line as opposed to this team total, but they're not going to win a pitcher's duel, the Angels, are they? I realize that the Halos are one of those teams that have probably quit for the year, but I think they're going to put up some runs tonight. I would look at, if your juice tolerance is there, I'd look at that team total over 3.5, and who knows, maybe get a little frisky. It hits 4, and you're going to not have to lay as many juice.
Get a little frisky tonight, says our man Bryan Power. And before the comments rip me for calling the Angels the A's, they do have an A in their logo. Hell, if I want to call the Braves the A's, they have an A in their logo too. I might call the Diamondbacks the A's. They have an A in their logo too. So you can rip me below in the comments, but rip the logo makers. This isn't my fault.
You know what else has an A in it?
What'd you say?
A-hole. That also has an A in it.
That's very fair. I walked right into that. Into that one.
I wasn't talking about you. I'm just saying.
Well, you were talking about, we'll take it. It is very true. That's
like sharp shoot, Dan Alexander. I'm here to call you an a-hole. How's that sound?
From A-hole to Z to Mark Zinno, we have it all covered here on MLB First Pitch. Zebby's rubbing it in the haters' faces today.
There you go.
Here we go. A to Zebby is what we cover here. If you missed it, guys, the best bets were Twins and Royals and Boston and Texas. Hey, if you want to, we had the morning wager guys on today. Why not throw them together? Make a sloppy parlay of your own. What's your favorite parlay, Pete? Hop below in the comments and let us know. I know you can't say it without hearing it in your head. It's almost like it's playing. With Zinno, it's always a good day. There we go. We'll see you on Wednesday for another edition. Big thanks to BP. Big thanks to Mark Zinno. Make sure you're subscribed and you're following the channel here on social media because you'll see the morning wager guys. Wake up with them. A little cup of Joe and maybe some bleeps as well because you never know what these guys are going to get into. But more reasons than ever to subscribe with football season right around the corner. Coming up 20 minutes from now right here on this channel. We got WagerTalk today coming your way. Tokyo Brandon, Adam Trigger, Steve Merrill alongside the Prez and Teddy Covers. They'll be talking some baseball action, some NFL plays as well. So don't go anywhere. Hang out here with us. We'll see you back here for First Pitch tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. You can always tune in here and keep those comments coming. Best of luck. Shout out to the chat. Hit that like button on the way out. And until next time, folks, best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow.